Ascending to the thrones of England, Scotland, and Ireland in 1625, Charles I believed in the divine right of king, which stated that his right to rule come from God rather than any earthly authority. This led him to the frequently clash with Parliament as their approval was needed for raising funds. Dissolving Parliament on several occasions, he was angered by its attacks on his minister and reluctance to provide him with money. In 1629, Charles elected to stop calling parliaments and began funding his rule through outdated taxes such as rape money and various fines. This approach angered the population and nobles. This period became known as the personal rule of Charles I, as well as the 11 Years' Tyranny. Consistently short of funds, the king found that his policy was frequently determined by the state of the nation's finances. 1638, Charles encountered difficulty when he attempted to improve a new book of prayer on the Church of Scotland. This action touch of Bishop's War led their school to the equipment grievance in the national covenants. Assembling an all-trained force of around 20,000 men, Charles marched north in the spring of 1639. Reaching Berwick on the Scottish border, he encamped and soon entered into negotiation with the Scots. This resulted in the Treaty of Berwick, which temporarily diffused the situation. Concerned that Scotland was intriguing with France and chronically short of funds, Charles was compelled to call a parliament in 1640. Known as the Short Parliament, he dissolved it less than a month after its leader criticized his policies. Through the summer of 1642, Charles and Parliament negotiated while a level of society began to align in support of either side. While rural communities typically favored the king, the Royal Navy and many cities aligned themselves with Parliament. On August 22, Charles raised his banner at Nottingham and commenced building an army. These efforts were matched by Parliament, who was assembling a force under the leadership of Robert de Vereux, 3rd Earl of Essex. Unable to come to any resolution, the two sides clashed at the Battle of the Eden Hill in October. Dubbed the Solemn League and confident, the alliance between Parliament and Scotland saw a Scottish Covenanter army under the Earl of Leven enter northern England to reinforce parliamentarian forces. Sir William Waller was beaten by Charles at Cropredy Bridge in June 1644. Parliamentarian and Covenanter force won a key victory at the Battle of Marston Moor the following month. A key figure in the triumph was cavalryman Oliver Cromwell. Having gained the upper hand, the parliamentarians formed the Provisional New Model Army in 1645 and passed the self-denying ordinance which prohibited its military commanders from holding a seat in Parliament. Led by Sir Thomas Fairfax and Cromwell, this force rode Charles at the Battle of Naseby that June and scored another victory at Langport in July. With Charles defeated, the victorious party sought to establish a new government. In each case, they felt that the king's participation was critical, playing the various groups off one another. Charles signed an agreement with the Scots, known as the Engagement, by which they would invade England on his behalf in exchange for the establishment of Presbyterianism in that realm. Initially spurred by royalties revolts, the Scots were ultimately defeated at Preston by Cromwell and John Lambert in August, and the rebellions put down through actions such as Fairfax's siege of Chelsea. Found guilty, Charles was beheaded on January 30, 1649. In the wake of the king's execution, Cromwell sailed for Ireland to eliminate resistance there which had been directed by the Duke of Ormonde. With the assistance of Admiral Robert Blake, Cromwell landed and won bloody victories at Drogheda and Wexford that fall. The following June saw the late king's son, Charles II, arrive in Scotland where he allied with his convert there. With the final defeat of Royalist force in 1651, power passed to the Republican government of the Commonwealth of England. This remained in place until 1653, when Cromwell assumed power as Lord Protector, effectively ruling as dictator until his death in 1658. He was replaced by his son Richard. Lacking the support of the army, his rule was brief and the Commonwealth returned in 1659 with the reinstallation of the Rome Parliament. The following year, with the government in shambles, General George Monk, who had been serving as Governor of Scotland, invited Charles II to return and take power. He accepted, and by declaration of Breda, offered pardons for acts committed during the wars, respect for property rights, and religious toleration. With Parliament's consent, he arrived in May 1660 and was crowned the following year on April 23.